Hi everybody, this is Unit 1, Lesson 5, Learning Target. I can write and solve algebraic equations that represent real-world situations by using inverse operations and simplification. So we are going to solve a lot of equations in this lesson. To do now is to solve these equations using inverse operations. We'll take this one together. What is the first step when you see 1.02x and 1.04x on opposite sides of that equal sign? Well, you must get those x's together. We always are going to say get the smaller x, which is 1.02x, over to the larger x. All right, so we're going to just do that first step. And we are going to draw a nice big line because we want to keep everything neat. And then we're going to bring all the numbers down. 3,600, the equal sign, the 2,000, and in our calculator, if you need it, we're going to bring up that calculator and we're going to just move this over here. And we're going to put 1.04 minus 1.02, and that should be 0.02. So it's a plus. Remember, 0.02, and that's x. What is the next step? Well, this x is right here. Now they're together. We need to get this 2,000 over to the 3,600, because again, we have to use inverse operations to try to get that x alone. All right, so we have 3,600 minus 2,000. That is 1,600. The equal sign comes down, and so does that 0.02x. And what is the opposite? This is multiplication. So what is the opposite of multiplication? Well, it is division. So you're going to divide. You're going to do the opposite every single time. That is called inverse operations. And when you do something on one side of the equal sign, you have to do it on the other side. The 0.02, they cancel. X comes down. And I am going to divide using my calculator. I'm going to put 1,600 divided by 0.02 into the calculator, see what we get. And it's 80,000. And that is your answer. So go ahead and try this one right here. Just remember, when you're using your calculator, just get your calculator back up. And so we're talking about using distributive property, right? Now, you could go ahead and remember that obviously 3 over 5x is 3 over 5x, but I just want to show you that the alpha x button will give you the fraction symbol right away. 3 over 5. Right? And then you're going to press the right arrow just to get it away from that fraction, and then times. And then we're going to press alpha x again, and then it's going to bring up another fraction, and then this is 4 over 3. So that's 3/5 times 4 over 3. Look at it. It's right in your calculator. Easy. Nice. And you're going to press enter and then get that answer. Go ahead, see if you can do the rest and press pause right now. So we have that, then it's 3 over 5x plus 4 over 5 equals 1.04. Now, I would normally just say change 4 over 5 to a decimal. And if you want to do that, I'm going to press the math button. And I'm going to go down to decimal and then press enter. And it's going to take this answer and make it a decimal. And that's 0.8. So much easier. This is 3/5 x. Hopefully you are past this. 3/5 x. And then I'm going to minus the 4/5, which is, so take a look. I minus that 0.8, which is the 4/5, and I minused it on both sides. I brought down the 3/5, and I am going to do 1.04 minus 0.8. Easiest way to do it, and that is 0.24. But there's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could multiply by its reciprocal, which is fine, or you could just change that 3/5 into a decimal. I have 3/5 in my calculator. I'm going to press the math button, go down to decimal. If you don't know what that is as a decimal, the calculator will give it to you. So now 3/5 is 0.6. So it's 0.6 equals 0.24. Then instead of dividing or multiplying by the reciprocal, you're dividing by that, just that simple decimal 0.6. This is x, and I am just going to go ahead and use my calculator every single time. You're going to use your calculator 0.24 divided by 0.6, and you get your answer. It is 0.4. And that is a Regents question, 0.4. They try to trick you with the fractions and everything, but it's pretty easy when you have a calculator. You could do it in various ways. You could change it to a decimal. All of these were terminating decimals, so it was very easy to change them into decimals right off the bat. And especially since this was a decimal already, you see how nicely it worked out. So going on to the next page is asking this explore, how can we put this equation into a real-world situation? Remember, this is y equals 125 times whatever x is. X represents months. 125 times the amount of months plus 1,000. And this is an equation, right? And it has two variables. The y is the total, and the x represents months. So it says Bobby started a savings account in his bank. How much did he start with? Right? That's what you're going to put here. How much did he start? He went to the bank. He had this amount of money. He started with 1,000 or 125. What would you put here? If you put 1,000, that is correct. Good. And then obviously there's only one other number that is here, and that is 125. So 125 he was saving per month, and he obviously had 1,000 to start with. How can we put this equation moving down? All right, you're going to do this on your own. How can we put this equation into a real world situation? X represents months. So go ahead, use any situation that you want. Press pause and try the problem now. All right, so how can we put this into a real world situation? Well, I didn't use money this time. I used cards, or you could use whatever you want that someone collects. Mary started a card collection with 200 cards. That is this right here. It's the initial value. This is the initial value. This is initially what she had. She added 50 cards to her collection per month. Remember, the X represents months. You could do this with money. You could do this with anything that that you could say is a collection or whatever, whatever. So that's exactly how I saw it. Hopefully you did have something the same. All right, there's a dog with on a record player like that. It's going fast. Suppose you adopt a puppy from an animal shelter and buy 3 bags of dog food. The adoption fee is $125, and you spent a total of $154.97. Create an equation based on the information provided. So the way I like to do this is to just underline, take a little, step back here and just underline the bits of information that you're going to use. 3 bags of dog food, that is important. The adoption fee is $125. The total, I know that the total goes after the equal sign. It says create an equation. It has to have an equal sign. So I'm just going to put an equal sign right here. So it's exactly what I did because I wanted to get that out of the way. And I know that for a fact that if you spend a total of $154.97, that is going to be something that is after the equal sign. Now the adoption fee is $125 and 3 bags of dog food. So I'm going to put this adoption fee right here in this little area right there where it says adoption fee. So I'm just going to put it right there. And the amount of bags is 3. Okay, so if this is an equation, what is the initial value what is that starting value that you had when you adopt a puppy? What do you have to pay? It's the $125. So I am going to put 125 right here. And I'm going to add that plus sign. So I have to pay that $125, but I also have to pay for 3 bags of dog food. So I'm going to put 3x, and I'm going to just put it right here. 3 bags of dog food. The starting thing, the first thing that I had to pay is that 125, right? That's like the initial value. So, and then all of that is going to equal, you spend a total of $154.97. Go ahead. We're going to solve this right now and then answer B with your answer of X. Solve it for X and then answer B. Press pause and try the problem now. All right, so this is the equation. You subtract 125 on both sides. You divide by 3. 154.97 minus 125 is 29.97. Hopefully you used a calculator for that. And you divide it by 3, you get 9.99. So we have each bag, and B, the answer to B is each bag costs $9.99. How much will 10 bags cost? If one bag is $9.99, what would you do to figure out the cost of 10 bags? Yes, you would multiply it. So $9.99, you're just going to put $9.99 down, and the amount of bags that you are buying or that you have to try to find the cost of is 10. So again, if you can't do that in your head, that's fine, because we have a calculator. $9.99 times 10, and that is 99.9. Now, you might want to put 99.9 down, but it needs something else, and that needs a 0 at the end because it's 90 cents, not 9 cents. All right, and that is $99.90 for 10 bags. That is the total question there, full credit, A, B, and C. All right, so this one right here, the cost of for a certain music plan is $9.99 per year plus 0.25 per song you download. If you paid $113.74 for 1 year, find the number of songs you downloaded. So this is a little bit tricky because it says per year right here, and this says per song. But if you're finding this is the amount you paid in 1 year. So this is that. Find the number of songs you downloaded. So this is how much you paid in 1 year. So is this $9.99 going to be charged over and over and over again? No, it's not. It's only going to be charged once. So this is your initial value. Your $9.99 is only charged once, so the variable does not go next to that. All right, give this a try. Just put it down as an equation, and then we'll come back and make sure everybody has the same equation. I'm going to ask you to pause again and then try to solve it and answer the questions. But pause it right now and just write down the equation that you think it is. Press pause now. Okay, so hopefully you did get that, and it is 25 cents per song. So obviously you're not going to download just one song. You're going to download a lot of songs, so that's the reoccurring charge. The $9.99 is the initial value, and it stays $9.99. It does not get charged over again until the next year. But you're paid $113.74 for 1 year. So that's all you're trying to figure out, is how much each song you downloaded costs in this year, this 1 year. So go ahead. Now we're going to press pause again. There's questions on the bottom. Actually, there's no questions on the bottom. So just find the number of songs that you downloaded, solve for X, and then move on to the fast finisher. Press pause now. All right, hopefully, just take a look. Hopefully you got that 415, that's your X. You subtracted $9.99 from each side. You did get 103.75. You divide that in the calculator by 0.25 and you get 415 songs. That's it. Taking the fast finisher, which you should have completed already, you add 5 to both sides. After you add 5 to both sides, go ahead and cancel out those 5s and bring down the R over 20. So now just remember, this is just like 1 over 20R, right? So the reciprocal of 1 over 20R is 20 over 1. So you're going to multiply by 20, and you don't really need to show the 1 on the bottom of that fraction. This is 20 over 1, but we're not doing that. It's not necessary. It doesn't change the answer at all. If you want to do it, it's fine, but it doesn't change the answer. The 20s cancel out. This 20 cancels, this 20 cancels. The R comes down. 20 times 1 is 20, and you are finished with that problem. All right, hopefully you did get that. Very easy. I just wanted this, just get you working with fractions and stuff like that. So we're skipping that challenge. All right, so here's another explore where Gary wants to rent a car for 1 day. He contacted 2 companies, Avis Rental and Enterprise Rental. The Avis Rental, very important. Take your pencil, underline Avis, underline 30 plus 4 per mile. Then underline Enterprise, charges just $5 per mile. And what I want you to do to really understand this question is this: after how many miles will the total cost for both companies be the same? Whenever it asks you to compare two companies, when they are the same, when you're comparing the two companies, To find out the total cost of when they are the same, you're putting an equal sign in the middle. That's exactly when they were same. When A would be equal to B. And that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to put an equal sign in the middle. And what I want you to do is on this side, right above, right here, put Avis Rental. And then put Enterprise on the right side. So just like that. So taking it one step at a time, go ahead and put, this is Avis, this is what Avis charges. So 30 plus 4 per mile. How would you write that? 30 plus 4 per mile. All right. So we're going to do 30 plus $4 per mile. I'm going to use M because it's miles. On the other side, Enterprise charges what? So if you put 30 plus 4M on the left side, Enterprise is just $5 per mile. You got it. And that's it. So what I want you to do right now is to solve this. Go ahead, solve the problem, circle your answer, and we'll go over it when we come back. Press pause now. Okay, there it is. You subtract 4M on both sides. Very important to get the smaller coefficient variable over to the larger. Look at how easy it is. Subtract 4M on both sides. You get 5M minus 4M is just 1M. You don't need the 1 in front of the M. And then equals 30. You're finished. It's 30 miles. And that problem is finished. Going over this one again, this is another question that compares two companies. Go ahead, see if you could answer the questions, press pause, and do the problem now. So hopefully you did do this problem. I just wanted to stop right here and just check out the equation. Remember, when you're comparing two companies, you're going to put that equal sign directly in the middle. Verizon charges a $50 flat fee. That's the initial fee plus $150 per movie. All right, so that's 50 plus, and I'm going to do this right above it, 50 plus 150, and it's per movie. So this 150 is going to be charged over and over again. Then Verizon is 39 flat fee plus 250 per movie. And I'm just going to put it down here, 39 plus 250 per movie. When you compare the two plans, that's where you're getting the equal sign directly in the middle. So you're just putting this here for Verizon, equal sign, and here for Time Warner. You would solve this like any other equation with x's on both sides of that equal sign. So we're talking about subtracting the smaller coefficient, which is 150 minus 150x minus 150x on both sides. When you subtract, this cancels over here. You bring this 50 down. You bring the equal sign down right there. You bring this 39 down here. 250 minus 150 is 1x. So you just put x down. Then obviously you have to get that x alone. You have to isolate that variable, and you subtract the 39 from both sides. This cancels. You draw a line right here, and x equals 11. So how many movies would you need to purchase? Create an equation that you can use to compare the two plans. So at 11 movies, we're going to put this movies. At 11 movies, these plans would cost the same. 11 movies, the 11th movie. So Verizon, you notice they charge a $50 flat fee. That's a little bit more, but they're charging less per movie. Time Warner charges less as a flat fee, but they're charging $250 per movie. At 11 movies, this will be equal to this, and the plans, it won't matter where you go. So in the equation, it says use the equation you created to find how many movies you would need to purchase to make Verizon a better deal. At 11 movies, they are equal. So press pause and think about that. How many movies would you have to purchase to make Verizon Fios the better deal for you? Press pause, and we'll come back and review an answer now. All right, so here we go. So since Verizon charges $1.50 per movie, at 11 movies, we figured out that both of these plans would cost the same. So that means you would have to purchase 12 or more movies to make Fios a better deal. So at that 12th movie, Verizon becomes a better deal because they're only charging $1.50 per movie. If you were a Time Warner customer and purchased 12, 13, 14 movies, that means they're charging you $2.50 per movie now. So the only person that really should be a Time Warner customer is a person that doesn't rent any movies, because they're going to go, like, say I don't rent a lot of movies at all, but the $39 would be a good starting price, because even though they're charging $1 more per movie that you purchase, it doesn't matter because I'm not purchasing movies. But if I'm looking to watch movies and I rent a 12th movie, a 13th movie, a 14th movie, Verizon is the way to go. So you would have to purchase 12 or more movies to make Fios a better deal. All right, here's the mid-lesson assessment. A crane is lowering a concrete block from a height of 270 feet. The crane is up here and it's lowering at a constant rate of 2.5 feet per second. Which function can be used to determine h, the height, in feet above the ground of the concrete block after s seconds? So all you have to do really here is they're asking for the equation. All right, and that's the equation. That's all they're asking for. So you can go over what you think the answer is, and pick your answer after you read it. Just make sure that you are understanding the question. This is a tricky one. Pick your answer, read it again, press pause, and we'll come back with the answer now. Okay, how many people have this? 270 plus 2.5. S. That's B. No matter how you have it, you could have this commutative, so addition is commutative, so you could have 2.5S plus 270. It means the same thing as 270 plus 2.5S. How many people think that is correct? Well, not for this problem. The key word here is lowering. All right, so see, the crane is lowering from 270 feet up. That's why I started with 270 in my equation. So I'm starting with 270, and since it's lowering, I am going to put a minus because it's lowering at a constant rate of 2.5 feet per second. That's subtraction. And so this, if you picked B, you kind of fell into that little bit of a trap. It is not addition. Now, if it starts at 270 and it was increasing, or it was going up instead of lowering, then you would pick plus 2.5s, 2.5 feet per second. It's rising at that amount. But if it's lowering, it's subtraction. So C is your answer. That is the answer to that little bit of a tricky question. Go ahead. This is just one company, one personal trainer buys a weight bench for $500 and weights for $24.99 each. The total cost is $849.86. Write an equation used to find the total number of weights purchased. Just an equation, not something that is like two companies where you have an equal sign in the middle. This is just a two-step equation. Go ahead, write that equation and solve it. Answer the question. Press pause now. So just to look at the calculator, I put 849. All right, so we put the equation together as $24.99. Let me get the calculator out of the way for a minute. So he buys a weight bench for $500. That's the initial amount that he has to spend, and it doesn't tell you how many weights. It doesn't tell you how many weights that this person buys. So the total cost though is $849.86. Remember we told you the total cost goes after the equal sign? Well, yes, it does. And then the $500 is the initial value that they spent. They're only going to buy one weight bench here, but they're going to buy a lot of weights. And the question is, write an equation that you can use to find the total number of weights purchased if they spent $849.86 and they spent $500 on a weight bench. So $24.99 W times W, that's your algebraic expression that you would use to say $24.99 each weight. Then you would add $500 in for the weight bench, so that's plus $500, and then the whole thing is equal to $849.86. So you subtract $500 on both sides, and you're going, now I'm going to bring up that calculator and see 849 minus 500 is $349.86. Remember, you have $24.99 equals $349.86. So all I want you to do is press divide, and it takes, this calculator takes the answer and it's ready for you to input what you want to divide it by. And in this case, it's $24.99. So in this question, you bought 14 weights. How many weights were purchased? By the way, was this just wanted the equation. You got credit for the equation, but now you had to solve it and answer B, how many weights were purchased, and then you would say 14 weights and show your work for B. Like, that's kind of like all your work for B. So I didn't want you to get confused. A was not asking you to solve. A was just asking you to write an equation, and writing the equation is in blue. And then B is asking you, all right, how many weights were purchased? Well, you have to figure out how to solve the equation. You have to actually solve the equation to figure out how many weights were purchased. All right. So this fast finisher is a very good fast finisher, and I want you to try it. So we're going to try it first, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the answer and the equation that you need to use to solve it. Press pause and give it a try now. All right, so very tricky question, and the reason why I wanted you to do this, sometimes I'll skip the fast finishers, but this one is a pretty good one. It says an electronics store pays their employees $8 per hour and an additional $20 for each TV they sell. If an employee sells 6 TVs and makes a total of $168, how many hours did he work? So I put a little key down. It's like, all right, so the store is paying their employees $8 per hour. So I'm going to put 8x down, all right? Then an additional $20 for each TV that they sell, all right? So we have 20. and 168. Easy, right? So what's the problem? Well, this is the problem. If an employee sells 6 TVs and makes a total of $168, how many hours did they work? Well, this 20 does not represent 6 TVs. It represents 1. So if you tried this problem and left it at 20, you fell into, again, something that a lot of people fall into, where saying, all right, it's $20. But no, that's 1 TV. The person here, the employee sold 6. So I'm going to put 6 times 6, 20 times $6, because it's $20 each additional television. And then when you figure this out, then you'll figure out how many hours that the person worked. So here it is that now instead of just 20, it's 20 times 6, because the person did sell an additional 6 TVs. 20 times 6 is 120, so the equation now becomes 8x plus 120 equals 168. Tricky problem. Subtract 120 on both sides, and then you have 8x equals 48, and 8, you divide by 8 on both sides, you have 6 hours total that the person did work. Okay, so let's get into the algebra portion of the lesson. This is the integrated algebra portion. 8th grade math does not cover this. And it represents consecutive integers, or consecutive even or slash odd integers, and we'll go over exactly what that means in algebra. Consecutive integers are ones that follow in order. So like you could start out with 50, 51, 52, something like that, or even consecutive integers in negatives is -10, -9, -8, -7, -6. Consecutive odd integers, it's still consecutive in a row, but if you start with 3, the next odd integer in that line is 5, and the next odd integer is 7, and the next odd integer is 9. So consecutive odd integers are all in a row. So if you start at 11, the next one is 13, the next one is 15, and stuff like that. And they follow in order, and even with negatives is -5, -3, -1, and then 1. All right, odd integers, consecutive odd integers in a row. Consecutive even, and same thing, but now they're even numbers. So if it starts at 2, consecutive even integers, 2, the next even integer is 4, the next even integer is 6, the next even integer is 8. And then same thing with negatives, -12, -10, -8, consecutive, they follow one another, consecutive integers. So when you're talking about consecutive integer problems, it helps to define, and you have to use the chart below. And this is for every single question that you will have. But you have to read, and you have to make sure, you have to understand that every question is going to be different. So you always put a key down, and we'll go over exactly what that means. You have to write a key down. If it's asking consecutive integers, we're going to use a variable n in this case. If it's asking for 3 consecutive integers, it's n, which is the first integer. Say I'm making up numbers, right? So I'll show you how this works. If n is your favorite number, my favorite number is 7, right? We're not going to go into why, but it is 7. So we have n as 7, just putting 7 there. What is the next consecutive integer? Not odd or even. What's the next consecutive number in the number line? It's 8, right? So if I had n as 7, 7 plus 1 is 8, right? And then 7 plus 2 is the next one, that's 9. You see how it works out. This is, if they ask you for 3 consecutive integers, the first integer is always n, or x. The second integer is x plus 1. And then the third integer, consecutive integer, is x plus 2. Now, the sum, like you would basically add them up, combine like terms, and then solve the equation. And then that's it. But consecutive, even, and odd, that's where people get confused. So, if you have I'm going to start with 7 again, because that's an odd integer, right? If I start with my favorite number, what's the next number, consecutive odd integer in the number line from 7? Right? 7, 9. Right? So if you have 7 here, if n is 7 and you add 2 to it, that is 9. That's the next consecutive odd integer. Then n is still 7, and it stays 7. You add 4 to it. Well, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11. 7, 9, 11. It works for anything, any numbers. So let's talk about even. If n is, let me just erase this. If the first number is 4, which is an even integer, it's even, right? The next consecutive even integer is 6, right? So if you do 4 plus 2, that's 6. Okay? If you do 4 plus 4, that's 8. Consecutive even and consecutive odd have the same n plus 2, n plus 4. Just because you have an odd number doesn't mean you're going to do n plus 3 ever. It doesn't work that way. To get wherever n starts, whatever x starts, it is always plus 2 to the next even or odd number. 15 plus 2, 17. That's the next consecutive odd. I didn't add 3, I added 2. All right, so we'll go and put this into practice in the next question. All right, and we'll do this together. The sum of 3 consecutive integers. First off, it's not talking about odd, it's not talking about even, it's just talking about numbers in a row. The first step is to create a key. So taking a look at my key, I have x. Now that remember, this is 3 consecutive integers, not even, not odd. You're not skipping, you're not doing x plus 2. It is just consecutive integers. So whatever x is, right? Whatever x is, like let's just pick an x. Like this is not part of the problem. I'm just showing you that consecutive integers are just in a row, right? So we have like 10 as a number. Say if 10 is x. 11 is the next integer. 12 is the next integer after that. You would do x plus 1 for the second integer, x plus 2 for the third integer. So we have x as the first integer, x plus 1 as the second integer, and x plus 2 as the third integer. So we're going to write an equation. We are adding all of these up. So we're going to put x down, and everybody could follow what I'm doing, plus x plus 1 plus x plus 2. What does it say that it equals? 147. Like in that problem, this is the equation right there. It says that the sum of the 3 consecutive integers is 147. That's exactly what this is. The sum of whatever the 3 consecutive integers are. This is the first. This would be the second consecutive integer. This is the third consecutive integer. You add them all up, it has to equal 147. So go ahead. Now we could press pause. and solve that problem. Like rewrite it again here and then combine like terms and solve. Press pause, give it a try now. So here we go. I combined all of the x's and we have 3x. This is 1, 2, 3, 3x, and then 1 plus 2 is 3. So we have minus 3 on both sides. All that is equal to 147. You divide by 3 equals 144. Divide by 3 and x equals 48. So you're not finished with the problem though. You have to substitute to solve for the consecutive integers. So right now I'm just telling you in your key, I could put it right down here. X equals 48. That's the first integer. Then I'm going to put x is 48 for the second integer plus 1. And that for the second integer is 49. 48, 49. You know the next one should be 50. X is still 48 plus 2 is 50. So the substitute to solve, I did it right up there. We're going to put 48 as the first, 49 as the second, and 50 as the third. And something like that you could put down, and then you could show the substitution. If it says substitute to solve, that's what you have to do, is substitute. All right, and that is your full answer there. That's your first question. Again, this is only for the example right here, the sum of 3 consecutive integers, not talking about odd or even or anything like that. And that's it. Go ahead and do number 1 and try it, and we'll come back with the answers. Go ahead, try it. Write your key down first. Remember, key goes over to, like, you can put it over to your left. And write down the key. It says the sum of 3 consecutive integers. So x should be your first integer. This is the same question as the one that we just did. X plus 1 should be your second. And then x plus 2 should be your third consecutive integer. Go ahead, give it a try. We'll come back and talk about it. Press pause now. All right, so I put I made the key. X equals the first integer, x plus 1 is the second integer, and x plus 2 is the third integer. So we have 3 consecutive integers set up, and a sum is equal to 72. So you put x plus 1 plus x plus 2 equals 72. You combine like terms, you get 3x. Right here is where you combine that like this: 1x, 2x, and 3x. So we have 3x and then 1 plus 2, which is 3, equals 72. You subtract 3 on both sides, you get 69. 3x equals 69. Divide by 3, you get x equals 23. That is the first integer, and I have it right here. And I put the 23 above the x just in case they wanted to see the substitution, but they really shouldn't. Obviously you're getting the answer and you're showing your work. So it's 23 plus 1 is the next consecutive integer, 24. And 23 plus 2 is the third consecutive integer of 25. And hopefully you understood that. That's the second question. Pretty easy. By the way, this equation, this part right here, before the equal sign on the left side, for 3 consecutive integer questions, that is what you're going to use all of the time if they're consecutive integers. I'm not talking about consecutive odd or even. I'm talking about just consecutive integers, no matter what it's equal to. Okay, and that is number 1. Now number 2, we are going to just take together, because this is the first time. Look, it says the sum. All right, everything's good. 3 consecutive odd integers. All right, so now this is a little bit different than what we've been doing. All right, so we're going to take this one together. We'll go through it slowly, but try to put down a key right now. What I want you to do is try to put the key down and see if you're correct when we come back. Press pause. All I want you to do is the key and just check if it's correct, and then you could solve it quickly. All right, press pause and put that key down right now. And okay, hopefully you did put the key down, and let's review it. You know, like in the first question, it's x plus 1 and x plus 2 is the third integer. Well, you're talking about consecutive odd integers, right? So if the odd integer is, say, 7, the next odd integer, you would have to add 2 to 7 to get to the next odd integer of 9. And then you would have to add 4 to 7 to get to the next odd integer. So just because they're talking about consecutive odd integers doesn't mean you have to add an odd number like 3 or 1 to that, because it is still just 2 numbers away. This number line, for instance, right? So if we start at 11, where's the next consecutive odd integer? Well, it's plus 1 and plus 2 to get to 13. You're not adding 3 to get from 11 to the next odd integer. You're adding 2. 1, 2. And the next odd integer would be 15. So if you're adding 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to 15. And the next odd integer from 11 would be another 2. So that means you would have to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get to 17. So it doesn't matter if it's talking about odd, consecutive odd, or consecutive even. It's always 2 away. Like if we started with 12 as a consecutive, as even, this is an even question set now. You would still have to add 2 to get to the next even consecutive integer of 14. And then you would have to add another 2 to get to 16, which my line's really not very good. But you get my point. You have 12 plus 4 and you would get to 16. So that would be consecutive even integers. So consecutive odd and consecutive even will have the same key. This key is for consecutive even and odd, right? But it depends on what this first number is going to start with. And it's going to be, they're telling me they want the sum of 3 consecutive odd integers. And when you add them up, it's going to be equal to 51. So let's go ahead and create an equation here. We have x plus 2 plus x plus 4 equals. And what does it equal? 51. That's what it says, right? So here we go. Obviously, with this equation, we are going to combine like terms. And I hope you're ahead of me a little bit here. So you have this equation right here, and this is 1x. This is another x. This is another x. So obviously, we're going to have 3x there. And then we are going to combine the rest of the like terms. We have plus 2 and plus 4. That is going to be plus 6. All of that is equal to 51. Everybody with me? I hope so. All right. So you subtract, obviously now you should be ahead of me on this. You subtract 6 on both sides. This cancels. We are going to put a line there just to make it a little bit easier for us to follow. 3x equals 45. Then obviously you're going to divide by 3, and hopefully you have your answer. This cancels. X equals 15. Make sense? All right, I hope so. So we have 15 as the first odd integer. Yes, it's good because that's an odd integer. You have it. It's fine. That's the first odd integer. The next odd integer, when you substitute this 15 in for this x, 15 plus 2 is 17. That works out. And then we're going to substitute 15 in because x is still 15 plus 4. 15 plus 4 is 19. If you want to check it, you add all of these numbers up, and they should equal 51. So let's hope it works out. So look, I'm going to just check it real quick. 15 plus 17 plus 19 equals 51. It works, and that is how you would do a question like that. The sum of 3 consecutive odd integers, that key is going to be your key for if it said consecutive odd or if it said consecutive even. Same key. X always starts you as the first number. X plus 2 is the next second odd integer. And then x plus 4 is the third consecutive odd integer in that line. And this number line basically shows you that you would have to add 2. No matter where you started on the number line, you would have to add 2 to each number to each number to get to the next odd or even integer. And that is that. So take a look. We are going to, this is the sum of 4 consecutive odd integers is 216. Find the four integers. It should say 4 odd integers. So what I want you to do, just make a key and then stop, and then I'm going to ask you to just make the key and then check to see if I have the same key as you, if we have the same key. If you have the same key, then you could go ahead and pause it again, the video, and then solve the question. All right. So we're going to press pause. We're going to write down the key right now, and then we're going to press play again. And then you could press pause and see if you could solve that equation. Press pause, write down the key now. Okay, so here we go. So this says 4 consecutive odd integers. And like I said, we're going to stick with odd right here because a lot of people have trouble with the when it says odd, they think they have to add 3 or 6. No, it's not that way. It is still x as the first odd integer, then x plus 2 as the second odd integer. X plus 4 would get you to the third odd integer, consecutive odd integer, and x plus 6 would get you to the fourth odd integer. All right, so here we go. Hopefully you have this key. If you didn't, change it and realize, okay, we'll use a number line. Okay, I could see exactly what they're saying here, because if I started with 11, the next odd consecutive odd integer is 13. The next one is 15. The next one is 17. So you're adding 2 each time to get to the next odd integer. All right. So I want you to press pause again, put the equation together, add up all and combine like terms, set it equal to 216, solve, and then substitute back in to get those 4 consecutive odd integers. We'll come back and talk about it. Press pause and try the problem now. So here we go. We have x plus 2 plus x plus 4 plus x plus 6 equals 216. So when you combine the like terms in red, I have all the x's, the variables that I combined. You have x over here, x here, x here, and x here. That's 4x. And then I boxed out the regular numbers. We have a plus 2, plus 4, plus 6. When you add all those together, you have a plus 12. All equals 216. Subtract 12 on both sides. You cancel it out. You get 204. 4x equals 204. You divide by 4. You get 51. Going back, you didn't answer the question. You just had the first odd integer there. And you have 51. 51 plus 2 is 53. 51 plus 4 is 55. 51 plus 6 is 57. Those are the consecutive integers. If you add them up, you should equal the 216 if you want to check it. And that is a good way to check it. You have 51 plus 53 plus 55. And that does equal 216. And you are completely correct. So here we go. Number 4. We're gonna stop, do the same thing, right? So now it says the sum of 4 consecutive even integers. You know what that changes? Absolutely nothing for your key, right? We're going to use the same exact key because the first number, instead of starting out as an odd integer, is going to be an even integer. So adding 2 to the even integer will get you to the next even integer. So it's equal to 36 now. 4 consecutive even. We're going to press pause. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to press pause and we're going to come back and check the key out. Then we're going to put the equation together and solve. Pressing pause again and giving you a chance to do it on your own. So right now, write your key and press pause. Press pause now. All right, just wanted you to check to see if you did have the same key as me. Remember, the x now is going to be the first even integer. X plus 2 will get you to the second consecutive even integer. X plus 4 will get you to the third consecutive even integer. And x plus 6 will get you to that fourth consecutive even integer. All of that has to be equal to 36. Go ahead, add them all together, combine like terms, and then find the 4 consecutive even integers. All right, press pause and try it right now. All right, so we have the same equation. Look, it's x plus 2 plus x plus 4 plus x plus 6. And now instead of it equaling the 216 like in the last problem, it's equal to 36. We are now looking for even integers, consecutive. So 4x plus 12, you combine the like terms like I did in the last one. Remember, some people like to underline, some people like to box out. That's 4x, and then 2, 4 plus 6, that is equal to 12. Subtract the 12, you have 4x plus 12 equals 36. Subtract 12 on both sides, you get 4x equals 24. Divide by 4, and you get x equals 6. So I went over to the key, and x equals 6. You notice how that first number now is not odd, it's even. So 6 plus 2 is 8. 6 plus 4 is 10. 6 plus 6 is 12. You have 4 consecutive even integers. Let's just double check in our calculator. I'm going to clear it out because it's getting kind of crowded. 6 plus 8 plus 10 plus 12 should be equal to 36. If it is, we are correct. We are. And that's how you do that problem. Right? Not too difficult. Just remember, your keys pretty much stay the same. If they're consecutive integers, not consecutive odd or even, it's x equals the first, x plus 1 equals the second, x plus 2 equals the third. But if we're talking about like 4 consecutive even or odd integers, it's x is the first even, x plus 2 is the second even, x plus 4 is the third even. And we're not adding even numbers to it, we're just adding it, we're adding 2's, multiples in those 2's, like the x plus 2 gets you to the next even or odd integer. All right, so that is how you would do that. So here's an assessment. Find 3 consecutive integers with the sum of 168. What's the greatest of the 3? So go ahead, give this a try. Remember, this is 3 consecutive integers, not odd, not even. Set up your key first and then work through the problem that with the equation, solve it, and then find out what the greatest of the 3 is. All right, press pause and try the problem now. Okay, hopefully you were able to work out this question. It says find 3 consecutive integers with the sum of 168. What is the greatest of the 3? And 57 is the greatest of the 3. I had x in my key is the first, x plus 1 is the second, x plus 2 is the third. I combined all of those into an equation, which is right here. You have x plus 1 plus x plus 2 equals 168. We have minus 3 on both sides, and we are getting 3x equals 165. You divide by 3, you get 55 as the least consecutive integer. And now, but I used the key and I found all 3 anyway. 57 is my greatest of the 3. Just to be safe, I am just going to 55, just check it really quick. 56 plus 57, that should all be equal to 168. And if it is, I know I'm exactly right. I am. And it's just a quick way to check it if you really want to. I suggest always checking your answer that way, just quickly. All right, so go ahead, try number 1. This is student basically enrichment where you're getting extra help here and extra work. Find the 3 consecutive integers. We're not going to take you through here. Just write the key down, follow all the steps, and do number 1. We'll come back and check your answer right after this. Press pause now. So did you try it? Okay, this one is a little bit difficult, a little tricky. It says find 3 consecutive integers such that the sum of the first and the third is 40. So I immediately put my key together. X equals first integer, x plus 1 equals the second integer, x plus 2 equals the third integer, and all of a sudden I'm putting the numbers here, I'm putting everything combining, I'm putting 3x plus 3 equals 40, and then I'm minus 3 and it's 37, and then I divide it by 3 and it's a decimal. They're not giving you a decimal here, all right? Because first off, it has to be an integer, right? So what's going on? Let me reread it. Find 3 consecutive integers such that the sum of the first, oh, there's the first, and the third is 40. So I'm going to just take this out. Okay, let me see if that works. The sum of the first and the third is 40. Okay, now we're ready. So if you did make a mistake on that one and you got a decimal, change it. All right, because they're only talking about the sum of the first and the third. Okay, and that's what you would get. Now you minus 2. You minus 2. And hopefully you're following along here. And if you did make that mistake and you got caught doing that, don't worry. Everybody, a lot of people, not everybody, but everybody that has trouble with this type of question, we're flying along with these questions and we have never seen anything like this, right? So we have 2x equals 38, and sometimes they'll try to confuse you, and this is the type of problem that would be. All right, so we have 38 divided by 2. 19. So x equals 19. find the three consecutive integers. So we're going to put 19 for the first one. And we're going to do 19 plus 1. And that's 20. And 19 plus 2. And that's 21. Now, I'm going to use my calculator to check this, but the sum of the first and fourth is 40. So I know that that is correct. So those are my three integers. I really want you to understand that this is a tricky type of problem. All right, so just the way we did this, you see it says the sum of the first and third. Well, look at the second question now. Find four consecutive integers. Four consecutive integers such that the sum of the second and fourth is 132. So what I want you to do is press pause and write down the key, and then only add the second and the fourth and make it equal to 132. All right. If you want to press pause right now, we'll come back with just the key and then press pause again, and then we'll see if you can figure it out. All right. Press pause, write down the key, and then we'll come back and just talk about the key for a second. Press pause now. Okay, so here we are, and I'm just going to extend this page. All right, find four consecutive integers, just consecutive integers. I'm not talking about odd, not talking about even, just talking about consecutive integers such that the sum of the second and the fourth is 132. So when I'm writing the key down, I'm not skipping anything. It's not x plus 2, it's not x plus 4. It is just consecutive integers, so four of them. So x is the first, x plus 1 is the second, x plus 2 is the third, x plus 3 is the fourth. Now, what I want you to do is combine the second, use the second and the fourth for an equation, set it equal to 132, combine like terms, and solve. Figure out all four consecutive integers. All right? And try that now. Press pause and try the problem right now. Okay, so we had x plus 1 plus x plus 3 equals 132. Instead of putting the whole thing in, it says the sum of the second and the fourth. So the second is x plus 1, the fourth is x plus 3. Right, so we have x plus x, which is 2x, and then 1 plus 3, which is 4. I combined like terms there, and it equals 132. Subtract 4 on both sides, just like this, and you get 128. Over here, the equal sign comes down, the 2x comes down, you divide by 2 on both sides, and then 128 divided by 2, I used my calculator, equals 64. So I'm going to put 64 right here next to the first integer, and they're asking for not the largest, not the smallest, they're asking for all of them. 64 plus 1 is 65. 64 plus 2 is 66. And 64 plus 3 is 67. And those are four consecutive integers that the sum, hopefully, is 132. But not adding all of them up. We're just talking about the second and the fourth. So let's give that a try. Second and the fourth only. So second is 65 plus the fourth, which is 67. That should be equal to 132. It is, and looks like everything is correct. All right, so that's how you do that problem. So go ahead, see if you can do number 3. Please write the key down first. Press pause now. Okay, very confusing, very difficult. So find two consecutive even integers. First off, the key, right? Two consecutive even integers, x equals the first, x plus 2 equals the second. Now, this is where it gets a little bit difficult, such that twice the smaller one, this is 2x now, is 26 less. This is going to be 26 less than 3 times the larger. So what I did was 3 times x plus 2 minus 26. These would be equal here now. Like, because this would be, if this is 26 less, you could put the plus 26 here, or you could put minus 26 here. Either way, you could figure it out. All right. So let me just go through it again. Find two consecutive even integers such that twice the smaller, 2 times x, is 26 less than 3 times the larger. 3 times the larger, and then minus 26 would be equal to this. All right, different ways to put this down, but this is just one way. So you would just go ahead and put 2x down, just bring that down, and then equals 3x plus 6. And these are enrichment problems. These are very difficult, very challenging problems here. So I'm not quite sure if they would be on a Regents or something like that, but these are the most difficult questions that you could come upon as far as this set of for this lesson. So you combine like terms here. 6 minus 26 is negative 20. So when you're solving this question for this equation, I know I say bring the smaller over to the larger all the time, but the smaller is hanging out there on its own. So just subtract the 3x so you can get them on the same side. And when you subtract that 3x, it's negative x equals negative 20. And to get rid of that negative, you would divide by the number that is next to the x, which is always 1, but since it's a negative x, it'll be a negative 1. Let me just move this down just a little bit. All right, so now to see this negative and the negative 1, they cancel, and then x comes down, and x equals 20. So the first integer is 20, and the second integer is 22. If you did substitute in, it would work out 20. This is 40, and then this side would be 66. It would be 26 less. This side would be 40 also if you subtract 26 from it. So it would be equal. It would equal out if you substitute it in, and that's how you know that it is correct. All right, very difficult problem. Try to work your way through it. So go ahead, try to give this a try. Number 4, write down the key first for the two consecutive odd integers. At least get that right, and then see if you could create that equation. All right, press pause and give it a try now. Okay, if you were able to do this, again, this is challenged. We're going to skip the, it might not even be in your lesson, but these are challenge questions if you want to challenge yourself. Find two consecutive odd integers such that 4 times the larger is 29 more than 3 times the smaller. So the key is what you should have down. It's just two consecutive odd integers. X equals the first odd integer. X plus 2 is the second odd integer. Now, two consecutive odd integers such that 4 times the larger. This is 4 times the larger. Is 29 more than 3 times the smaller. So 3 times the smaller plus 29. These two sides should be equal to each other after you solve and substitute in. So we do distributive property. You have 4x plus 8 equals 3x plus 29. You subtract 3x on both sides. You get x plus 8 equals 29 minus 8 on both sides. You get x equals 21. The two consecutive odd integers are 21 and 23. 4 times, if you substitute this 21 in here and 21 in here, these will be equal to 92 on each side. So that's how you know you're correct. And that's how you would do that problem. Okay, so we are going to go right to the exit slip. And the exit slip right here is a release state exam question. This is an 8th grade level question. Jenny wants to rent a truck for 1 day. She contacted 2 companies. Laguna's truck rentals charges $20 plus $2 per hour per mile. Salvatore's truck rental charges $3 per mile. After how many miles will the total cost for the companies be the same? Just remember an equal sign in the middle. Line up the company Laguna's and Salvatore's on one side, and on the other side the other company. Solve it and you will get your answer. Go ahead, give it a try. Press pause now. Okay, so there it is. So we have Laguna's is 20 plus 2m equals 3m, which is Salvatore's on the other side because they only charge $3 per mile. You subtract 2m from both sides and you get m equals 20. 20 miles, both companies will cost the same. If you substitute that 20 in right here and right here, they will equal the same thing, which is 60, right? So, but they're not asking that. They're just asking how many miles would they cost the same, and that's the answer. Remember, for your summary, put down 3 skills or strategies that you need in order to translate real-world situations into algebraic expressions, and then everything that we did also for the consecutive integers. Make sure that you have that summary down as far as you go. You can look back into your notes and look back into the lesson to have any skills or strategies, list them all. There's no way you can remember everything that is on there without looking back. And that's it. See you next time.